Dr. Sarah Chen yawned as she stared at her computer screen. It was past midnight, and the observatory was quiet. Most of her team had gone home hours ago, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She had been studying a strange signal for weeks now. At first, she thought it was just space noise, but the pattern was too regular, too intentional. As she sipped her cold coffee, a loud beep from her computer made her jump. Sarah's eyes widened as she looked at the screen. The signal had changed. It was stronger now, and it was moving. "What in the world?" she whispered, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Sarah zoomed in on the signal source. What she saw made her heart stop. A massive fleet of ships, unlike anything she had ever seen, was heading towards Earth. With shaking hands, she reached for her phone and dialed her boss, Dr. Rodriguez. "Sir, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling. Within an hour, the observatory was buzzing with activity. Scientists from all departments huddled around Sarah's computer, their faces a mix of awe and fear. Dr. Rodriguez looked grim as he turned to Sarah. "We need to inform the government. This is way beyond us now." As the sun rose over the city, world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The news spread like wildfire among top officials, but they managed to keep it from the public, for now. In a secure underground bunker, presidents, prime ministers, and military chiefs sat around a large table. The atmosphere was tense as they watched Sarah's presentation. "As you can see," Sarah explained, pointing to the screen, "the fleet is massive. We estimate over 1,000 ships, each larger than anything we've ever built." A murmur ran through the room. "How long until they reach Earth?" the U.S. president asked, his face pale. Sarah took a deep breath. "At their current speed, about 3 months." The room erupted in chaos. Leaders argued about what to do, their voices rising in panic and anger. "We should strike first," one general shouted. "With what?" "Our weapons are like toys compared to theirs," another countered. As the argument raged on, a quiet voice cut through the noise. It was the leader of a small, technologically advanced nation. "We need a plan B," she said firmly. "We can't match their firepower, but maybe we can outsmart them." The room fell silent as she continued. "I propose we gather the brightest minds from around the world. Scientists, engineers, strategists. Let's pool our resources and knowledge. If we can't fight them head-on, maybe we can find another way." Slowly, heads began to nod. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As the meeting ended, Sarah found herself pulled aside by the U.S. president. "Dr. Chen, we need you to lead this project," he said, his eyes serious. "You discovered them. You might be our best chance at understanding their technology." Sarah felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, but she nodded. "I'll do my best, sir." Over the next few weeks, a secret facility was set up in a remote location. Scientists and experts from around the world were quietly brought in, their families told they were working on a classified project. Sarah worked tirelessly, analyzing every bit of data they had on the alien fleet. She barely slept, fueled by a mix of fear and determination. One night, as she was poring over some readings, she noticed something strange. The alien ships seemed to be using an unusual form of propulsion. It was unlike anything in known physics. Excited, Sarah called her team together. "Look at this," she said, pointing to her calculations. "If we can understand how their ships move, we might find a weakness." As the team huddled around her, discussing theories and running simulations, a small spark of hope flickered to life. Meanwhile, in cities around the world, people went about their daily lives, unaware of the looming threat. But in secret facilities and government offices, the race to save humanity had begun. The galactic empire was coming, and Earth had to be ready. 2 months had passed since Dr. Sarah Chen's discovery. The world leaders had managed to keep the alien fleet a secret, but tensions were high. In the hidden facility, Sarah and her team worked day and night, trying to understand the alien technology. One sunny afternoon, everything changed. Sarah was in her lab when alarms started blaring. She rushed to the main control room, her heart pounding. On the big screen, she saw it, a single alien ship breaking away from the fleet and heading straight for Earth. "It'll enter our atmosphere in 10 minutes, a technician said, his voice shaking. World leaders scrambled to decide what to do. Should they attack? Try to communicate? In the end, they chose to wait and see. The alien ship stopped just above New York City. It was massive, blocking out the sun and casting a shadow over the entire city. People on the streets stopped and stared, pointing at the sky in disbelief. Suddenly, screens all over the world flickered to life. TVs, computers, even billboards in Times Square showed the same image. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like stars. The alien spoke, its voice deep and echoing. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador Zix of the Galactic Empire. We have come to claim your world as part of our domain. You have 2 Earth weeks to surrender peacefully. Resist, and we will take your planet by force." The message repeated in every language on Earth. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the alien ship rose and rejoined the fleet. Panic spread across the globe. People rushed to stores, buying supplies and preparing for the worst. Governments tried to calm their citizens, but fear and anger were everywhere. In Washington, D.C., the president addressed the nation. "We will not surrender," he said firmly. "Humanity has faced challenges before, and we have always prevailed. We will stand united against this threat." Other world leaders made similar speeches, but in private meetings, they were less confident. "How can we fight them?" the French president asked. "Their technology is far beyond ours." "We have no choice," the Chinese leader replied. "We must try." Back at the secret facility, Sarah and her team worked harder than ever. They had 2 weeks to find a way to stop the Galactic Empire. "Look at this," Sarah said, pointing to a screen. "Their ships use some kind of energy field for protection. If we can disrupt it." Her colleague, Dr. Rajesh Patel, nodded excitedly. "We might have a chance, but how do we generate enough power?" As they brainstormed ideas, a young engineer named Mike spoke up. "What about the old Tesla coils? If we could scale them up?" Sarah's eyes lit up. "Mike, you're a genius. Let's get to work." Days passed. Around the world, people prepared for war. Soldiers trained, civilians learned basic survival skills, and scientists in every country worked on weapons and defenses. In space, the alien fleet waited. Sometimes, people could see their ships at night, like new, menacing stars. 3 days before the deadline, Sarah's team had a breakthrough. They managed to create a device that could disrupt the alien energy fields. It wasn't perfect, and it had a limited range, but it was something. "We need to test it," Sarah said. "But how?" The answer came sooner than they expected. A small alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere, heading for a remote area in Australia. It was a perfect chance. With the government's permission, Sarah and her team rushed to set up their device. As the alien ship landed, they held their breath and activated it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the ship's sleek surface flickered, like a TV losing signal. It rose a few feet off the ground, then crashed back down. Sarah and her team cheered. Their device had worked. But their celebration was short-lived. The ship's door opened, and an alien stepped out. It looked at the humans, then at its damaged ship. Its eyes narrowed. "You have made your choice," it said in perfect English. "Prepare for war." As the alien called for rescue, Sarah and her team rushed back to their facility. They had scored a small victory, but the real battle was just beginning. The countdown to humanity's greatest challenge had begun. As the deadline approached, Earth buzzed with activity. Dr. Sarah Chen's successful test had given people hope, but everyone knew it wasn't enough to stop the entire galactic empire. In a secret underground bunker, a small group gathered. They were the best and brightest from around the world. scientists, soldiers, hackers, and even a few former criminals with unique skills. "Welcome to Resistance Base Alpha," said General Maria Rodriguez, her eyes scanning the room. "You're here because you're the best at what you do. Our job is to find a way to beat the aliens." Sarah stepped forward, holding up the device they used in Australia. "This disrupts their energy fields, but only at short range. We need to make it stronger." A tall man with wild hair and a mischievous grin raised his hand. "Name's Jack. Used to build custom tech for some, interesting clients. What if we combine your gizmo with an EMP?" Sarah's eyes widened. "That could work. We'd need a massive power source, though." "I might have a solution for that," said a quiet voice. All eyes turned to a small woman in the corner. "I'm Dr. Yuki Tanaka. I've been working on cold fusion. It's not perfect, but it could give us the power we need." As the group brainstormed, mixing ideas and technologies in ways never done before, a plan began to take shape. Meanwhile, above ground, the world prepared for war. Armies moved into position, and civilians were evacuated from major cities. In orbit, Earth's small fleet of spaceships, hastily armed and barely spaceworthy, stood ready for a fight they knew they couldn't win. 2 days before the deadline, the aliens struck. It started with small attacks. Probes testing Earth's defenses. Fighter jets scrambled to meet alien scouts. Missiles flew, and the sky lit up with explosions. In New York, a group of alien soldiers appeared in Times Square. They were tall and strong, with advanced weapons that cut through steel like butter. But they weren't prepared for the creativity of New Yorkers. A group of street performers distracted the aliens with an impromptu dance, while construction workers dropped a load of cement on them from above. Similar scenes played out around the world. The aliens had superior technology, but humans fought with desperate courage and clever tactics. In London, a team of hackers managed to confuse the guidance systems of several alien ships, making them crash into each other. In Tokyo, scientists used sound waves to disrupt the aliens' communications, throwing their forces into chaos. But these were small victories in a losing battle. The alien fleet was vast, and for every ship Earth managed to bring down, 10 more took its place. As the fighting raged, Sarah and her team worked frantically in their underground lab. They had combined Jack's EMP idea with Sarah's disruptor and powered it with Dr. Tanaka's experimental fusion reactor. The result was a device they called the Pulse, a weapon that could, in theory, disable every piece of alien tech within a 100-mile radius. "It's ready," Sarah said, looking at the massive machine. It was the size of a truck, a tangle of wires and metal surrounding a pulsing core of energy. "But we only have enough power for one shot. We need to make it count." General Rodriguez nodded grimly. "We'll only get one chance. We need to hit their main ship, take out their leaders and command structure." "But how do we get close enough?" Jack asked. "Their defenses are too strong." A sly smile spread across Dr. Tanaka's face. "We don't go to them. We make them come to us." She outlined her plan. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably suicidal, but it was also their best chance. As the team prepared to put their plan into action, Sarah looked around at the diverse group. They came from different countries, different backgrounds, even different sides of the law. But here they were, united against a common threat. She realized that this was humanity's real strength, not technology or weapons, but the ability to come together, to adapt, to find hope even in the darkest times. The final battle was about to begin, and despite the overwhelming odds, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. They had a chance, small but real. And sometimes, a small chance was all humanity needed to do the impossible. The sky burned red as the alien fleet launched its first major assault. Massive ships descended on Earth's major cities, their weapons turning skyscrapers to dust. But humanity wasn't going down without a fight. In New York, the Statue of Liberty came to life. Unknown to the aliens, It had been retrofitted with hidden weapons. Lady Liberty's torch shot out a beam of energy, slicing through an alien ship like a hot knife through butter. "Score one for the home team," cheered Jack, watching from Resistance Base Alpha. But their celebration was short-lived as more alien ships took its place. Dr. Sarah Chen wiped sweat from her brow as she made final adjustments to the pulse. "It's now or never," she said to General Rodriguez. "We need to put Dr. Tanaka's plan into action." The plan was audacious. They would use the old HAARP facility in Alaska to broadcast a fake surrender message, but hidden in the transmission would be a code that would hack into the aliens' communication systems. If it worked, it would lure the alien commander's ship within range of the pulse. As the team prepared, reports came in from around the world. In Egypt, the pyramids opened to reveal ancient defenses, catching the aliens off guard. In the Amazon, tribes with blow darts tipped with a rare poison managed to take down alien foot soldiers. Every human, using whatever they had, was fighting back. Sarah's team loaded the pulse onto a reinforced truck. They would have one shot at this. If they failed, Earth would fall. "Broadcast initiated," Dr. Tanaka said, her fingers flying over a keyboard. On screens around the world, Earth's leaders appeared to be surrendering. But hidden in the signal was a virus, worming its way into the alien systems. For a tense minute, nothing happened. Then, a massive ship, larger than any they'd seen before, began to descend. It was the alien command ship. "It's working," Jack whooped. They took the bait. But their elation was short-lived. As the command ship descended, it launched a barrage of energy blasts. The ground shook, and buildings crumbled. "We need to get closer," Sarah shouted over the noise. "The pulse won't reach from here." General Rodriguez jumped into the driver's seat of the truck. "Hold on tight," she growled, slamming her foot on the accelerator. They raced through the devastated streets, dodging debris and alien fire. Sarah clung to the pulse, praying it wouldn't be damaged before they could use it. Suddenly, a smaller alien ship spotted them. It swooped down, its weapons charging. "We're not going to make it," Jack yelled. But before the alien could fire, a group of fighter jets appeared, engaging the ship in a fierce dogfight. It was Earth's last squadron, sacrificing themselves to give Sarah's team a chance. As they neared the command ship, Sarah saw an opportunity. A low-flying alien shuttle was heading towards the command ship's docking bay. "There," she pointed. "If we can get aboard that shuttle, we can get inside their defenses." It was crazy, but it was their only chance. General Rodriguez swerved, ramming the truck into the shuttle's side. The impact was jarring, but they managed to force their way in. Inside the shuttle, they found themselves face to face with a group of stunned alien soldiers. For a moment, both sides froze, equally surprised. Then all hell broke loose. Jack threw himself at the nearest alien, wrestling its weapon away. Dr. Tanaka, despite her small size, proved to be a formidable fighter, using her knowledge of alien physiology to target weak points. Sarah and General Rodriguez pushed forward, dragging the pulse. They needed to get to the shuttle's controls. As they fought their way through, Sarah caught glimpses of the battle raging outside. Despite the overwhelming odds, humans were still fighting. A group of civilian boats were ramming alien ships in the harbor. Hackers were causing alien tech to malfunction across the globe. Finally, they reached the cockpit. General Rodriguez took control, steering the shuttle towards the command ship's docking bay. "Brace for impact," she shouted as they crashed through the bay doors. Alarms blared as they stumbled out of the wreckage, pulling the pulse with them. They were inside the alien command ship, but they weren't safe yet. The real battle was just beginning. Sarah looked at her team, battered but determined. "Let's finish this," she said, her hand on the pulse's activation switch. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. Alarms blared throughout the alien command ship as Sarah and her team pushed forward with the pulse. The corridors were a maze of strange, pulsing technology. Every step brought them closer to danger and to hope. "We need to find the ship's core," Dr. Tanaka said, her eyes darting around. "That's where the pulse will do the most damage." Suddenly, a group of alien soldiers rounded the corner. Their weapons hummed with energy, ready to fire. "Get down," General Rodriguez shouted, diving for cover. But before the aliens could attack, Jack stepped forward. In his hand was a small device he had quickly assembled from parts of the crashed shuttle. "Sorry, fellas," he grinned. "Time for a blackout." He pressed a button, and a burst of electromagnetic energy surged through the corridor. The alien weapons flickered and died. Taking advantage of the confusion, Sarah and her team charged forward. They fought hand-to-hand, using their human agility against the larger, stronger aliens. As they pushed deeper into the ship, Earth's forces launched their surprise attack. The remaining fighter jets, guided by Dr. Chen's earlier discoveries, targeted weak points in the alien fleet's defenses. In orbit, astronauts from the International Space Station, using makeshift weapons and their knowledge of zero-gravity combat, boarded and sabotaged several alien ships. On the ground, armies around the world coordinated their attacks. Tanks fired at alien landing craft, while special forces used the chaos to infiltrate and destroy alien ground bases. But the real battle was happening inside the command ship. Sarah and her team finally reached the core, a massive chamber filled with swirling energy. "This is it," Sarah said, her voice filled with awe and determination. "We need to set up the pulse here." As they worked to position the device, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Foolish humans." They turned to see Ambassador Zix, the alien leader who had delivered the ultimatum. He was flanked by elite guards, their weapons trained on the humans. "Did you really think you could defeat the Galactic Empire?" Zix sneered. "Your primitive technology is no match for our power." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "Primitive. We might not have your advanced weapons, but we have something you don't understand, something you can't conquer." Zix tilted his head, curious despite himself. "And what's that?" "Hope," Sarah replied, "and the will to fight for our home." With that, she nodded to Jack. In one swift motion, he activated a small EMP device, temporarily disabling the aliens' weapons. Chaos erupted in the core chamber. Dr. Tanaka used her knowledge of alien physiology to target pressure points, taking down guards twice her size. General Rodriguez engaged in hand-to-hand combat with Zix, her military training put to the ultimate test. Sarah raced to the pulse, dodging energy blasts and falling debris. The ship shuddered around them as Earth's forces pressed their attack outside. Finally, Sarah reached the pulse. Her hand hovered over the activation switch. This was it, the moment that would decide the fate of humanity. "Sarah, now," General Rodriguez yelled, pinning Zix to the ground. Sarah closed her eyes and pressed the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a wave of energy burst from the pulse. It swept through the ship, shutting down every piece of alien technology it touched. The lights flickered and died. The humming of alien tech fell silent. And outside, the massive alien fleet suddenly hung motionless in the sky. In the darkness of the core chamber, Sarah's voice rang out. "It worked," she breathed. "We did it." As emergency lights slowly came on, they saw the results of their desperate gamble. The alien technology was fried, reduced to useless metal and plastic. Ambassador Zix stared in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "How could you?" "Never underestimate humans." Jack grinned, helping Dr. Tanaka to her feet. General Rodriguez secured Zix and his guards. "Your empire just got a little smaller," she said. As they made their way to the ship's bridge, reports came in from around the world. The alien fleet was disabled. Ground forces were surrendering. Earth had won. Sarah looked out at her home planet through the ship's viewport. The scars of battle were visible even from space, but the blue marble still spun, still lived. "We did it," she said again, tears in her eyes. "We saved Earth." But as the initial elation faded, A new realization dawned. They had won the battle. But a new challenge was just beginning. How would humanity handle its sudden leap into galactic politics? The adventure, it seemed, was far from over. The victory over the Galactic Empire's main fleet was a turning point, but the war was far from over. As news of their defeat spread, the remaining alien forces on Earth rallied for one last, desperate attack. Sarah and her team, still aboard the captured command ship, watched in horror as reports came in from around the globe. "They're hitting every major city simultaneously," General Rodriguez said, her face grim as she studied the holographic display. "They know they can't win, so they're trying to cause as much damage as possible before they fall." Dr. Tanaka pointed to a flashing red dot on the map. "Look, they're targeting our nuclear power plants. If they succeed, Earth could become uninhabitable." Sarah finished, her voice barely a whisper. Jack slammed his fist on the console. "We can't let that happen. There must be something we can do." Sarah's mind raced. The Pulse had disabled the aliens' advanced technology, but the remaining forces were still formidable. Earth's militaries were exhausted from the previous battles. They needed an edge. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. "The ship," she said, turning to the others. "We can use this ship." "But the systems are fried," Jack pointed out. "The alien tech is dead," Sarah agreed, "but the ship itself is still intact. If we can retrofit it with our own technology." Dr. Tanaka caught on quickly. "We could turn their greatest weapon against them." They worked feverishly, connecting Earth computers to alien interfaces, jury-rigging weapons systems, and repurposing the ship's massive engines. It was a crazy mix of high-tech alien materials and whatever Earth technology they could salvage. As they worked, battles raged across the planet. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower fell as aliens clashed with French resistance fighters. In Beijing, ancient temples became fortresses as monks fought alongside soldiers. Every human, from every walk of life, joined the fight for survival. Finally, after what felt like eternity, Sarah looked up from her work. "It's ready," she said, hope and determination shining in her eyes. The hybrid ship rose shakily from the ground, its movements clumsy but powerful. Inside, Sarah and her team manned the makeshift control center. "All right, people," General Rodriguez said, taking the pilot's seat. "Let's save the world." They flew towards the nearest hotspot, New York City, where aliens were advancing on a nuclear plant. The ship's speakers crackled to life, broadcasting Sarah's voice across the battleground. "Attention, Earth forces. We're here to help. Coordinate your attacks with us." At first, both humans and aliens were stunned by the sight of the command ship now fighting for Earth. Then, as understanding dawned, cheers erupted from the human forces. The battle was fierce. Alien troops, realizing their former flagship now fought against them, redoubled their efforts. But the hybrid ship's weapons, combining Earth's precision with alien power, turned the tide. One by one, alien strongholds fell. The ship raced from continent to continent, providing crucial air support and real-time intelligence to ground forces. In Antarctica, they helped scientists protect a secret facility housing crucial climate stabilization technology. In the Amazon, they aided indigenous tribes in driving aliens from the rainforest, preserving irreplaceable biodiversity. But the final battle came in the skies over Geneva. The last alien commander had taken control of the Large Hadron Collider, threatening to create a black hole that would swallow the Earth. "We have to stop them," Dr. Tanaka shouted over the roar of battle. Sarah looked at the readings on her screen. "Their defenses are too strong. We can't get close enough." Jack grinned, a wild look in his eyes. "Then we'll have to go through them." General Rodriguez understood immediately. "Brace for impact," she yelled, aiming the ship directly at the alien's position. The hybrid ship plowed through the alien defenses, its reinforced hull barely holding together. Alarms blared as systems failed across the board. "Now, Sarah," General Rodriguez shouted. Sarah activated their secret weapon, a modified version of the Pulse, integrating both human and alien technology. A wave of energy burst forth, not just disabling the alien tech, but overloading it. The alien commander systems exploded in a spectacular display of light and energy. The threat was neutralized, but at a cost. The hybrid ship, pushed beyond its limits, began to fall from the sky. "We did it," Sarah said softly, looking at her team as warning lights flashed around them. "We saved Earth." As the ship plummeted towards the ground, Sarah closed her eyes, ready to accept the cost of their victory. But humanity, it seemed, had one last surprise in store. As the hybrid ship plummeted towards Earth, Sarah and her team braced for impact. They had saved the world, but at what seemed to be the cost of their own lives. Suddenly, the ship jerked and slowed. "What's happening?" Jack yelled over the blaring alarms. Through the view screen, they saw an incredible sight. Thousands of people had gathered below, pointing strange devices at the falling ship. The devices emitted beams of energy, slowing the ship's descent. "It's the anti-gravity technology we reverse-engineered from the alien ships," Dr. Tanaka gasped. "They're using it to save us." The ship touched down gently in the middle of a cheering crowd. As Sarah and her team stumbled out, they were met with a hero's welcome. People from all walks of life, soldiers, scientists, ordinary citizens, rushed to embrace them. In the days that followed, the full extent of humanity's victory became clear. The alien threat was gone, but it had left behind a changed world. Cities lay in ruins, millions had been lost, but a new spirit of global unity had been born. World leaders gathered in the newly rebuilt United Nations headquarters to discuss the future. Sarah and her team were invited as honored guests. "We stand at a crossroads," the UN Secretary-General announced. "We have defended our planet, but in doing so, we have also announced our presence to the galaxy. We must decide how to move forward." Debates rage. Some argued for isolationism, fearing further alien threats. Others pushed for rapid space expansion, hoping to establish humanity as a galactic power. Sarah listened to all sides before stepping up to speak. "We've learned so much," she said, her voice carrying across the hushed chamber. "About the universe, about alien technology, but most importantly, about ourselves. We discovered strength we never knew we had. We put aside our differences and united as one species. Now we have a chance to take that unity to the stars." Her words resonated with many. A plan began to take shape. Earth would reach out to the stars, not as conquerors like the Galactic Empire, but as explorers and peacekeepers. The next few years were a time of incredible progress. Using reverse-engineered alien technology combined with human innovation, scientists made breakthrough after breakthrough. Dr. Tanaka led a team that solved the world's energy crisis using a combination of cold fusion and alien power sources. Jack's expertise with hybrid tech led to a revolution in computing and artificial intelligence. Sarah found herself heading up the newly formed Earth Space Exploration and Diplomatic Corps. Their first mission: to establish contact with other alien races, hopefully finding allies in the galaxy. As the day of the first launch approached, Sarah stood at the base of the new ship. It was a marvel of engineering, sleek and powerful, representing the best of human and alien technology. Its name, painted proudly on the hull, was Unity. General Rodriguez, now the head of Earth's combined defense forces, joined her. "Nervous?" she asked with a smile. Sarah shook her head. "Excited," she replied. "We've come so far." As the crew boarded the ship, Sarah took one last look at the crowd gathered to see them off. She saw faces from every nation, every race. She saw the hope and pride in their eyes. The engines roared to life, and the Unity rose gracefully into the sky. As Earth grew smaller below them, Sarah thought about the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had looked into the darkness of space and found not just terror, but wonder. And now, they were taking their first steps into a larger universe. As the Unity prepared for its first faster-than-light jump, Sarah gave the order. "Take us to the stars," she said, her voice filled with determination and hope. In a flash of light, the ship disappeared, carrying with it humanity's spirit of resilience, unity, and endless curiosity. The Galactic Empire had sought to conquer Earth. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity was now a part of the galactic community, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might bring. As the Unity streaked across the stars, Earth celebrated. It was not an ending, but a new beginning. The greatest adventure in human history had just begun.